Bad Brains, Bad Brains, are like, they're the kings of influence. I mean, this brings me back to the comparisons, because I saw this interview recently, with, an ex-member of Exodus, Kirk Hammett's original band, or one of his original band he was in before he joined Metallica. Anyway, I can't remember the name of the person from the group, but I think he was also talking, the interview was conducted between him and another ex-member of the group, but I don't think they were members at the same time. But if you Googled, say, for instance, Exodus interview, on Dave Mustaine on Megadeth, I think you'll find it easily. But basically, what they were saying in there, and particularly one of the guitarists, is that when people went to see Metallica in the early days, when Mustaine was in it, so I guess like around 83 or whatever, he was, he kind of confirmed stuff that Mustaine had been saying for a while. Like, he was the band, like he was the people that people came to. He was the one in the band that people came to see. He was essentially the front man. He was doing all the talking up front. He was doing the lead playing, crazy lead playing. I mean, I remember Kerry King talking about seeing Mustaine in the early days and just think he was phenomenal and being like hugely inspired by him, because he'd be doing these crazy solos, like, wow, staring off somewhere else and just, making the shit look easy. H.R, the lead singer of Bad Brains, was known for doing like backflips and stuff. There's footage online of him performing with Bad Brains at CBGBs. If you Google that, so I think similarly they have, as I mentioned earlier, like Hetfield and Mustaine are kind of like the co-creators in many eyes of thrash, and lots of people have emulated them. I think similarly with the punk scene, metal scene, the fusions and the offsprings of that, not just in New York, but across the United States and, across the world. I think that Bad Brains have had a huge influence. I mean, I'm looking at their, I think, let me see if I can find it, but so on their Wikipedia page, they say, it says notable bands and artists that cite them include Beastie Boys, Nirvana, Foo Fighters, Guns N' Roses, Soundgarden, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Jane's Addiction, Faith No More, Rage Against the Machine, Deftones, Clutch, Green Day, The Offspring, The Roots, Lamb of God, No Doubt, Anthrax, Fishbone, and Living Colour. So Bad Brains kind of influenced everybody. So that's why they have to be up there, and they're kind of neck and neck with Living Colour, because Living Colour had the impact above and beyond going forward, but like the precursors, the forefathers, the progenitors, if you will, definitely Bad Brains. And then there's one final comparison that I like to make between those two. And this is the thing about this blog as well, is like this is like an introduction for people, just in the same way as an introduction to finding out about what fuels me. I would hope people take this as an opportunity to look into some of these bands I mentioned if they haven't been aware of them, or revisited them if they have, but they haven't really checked for them lately because streams go up, more gigs get booked. It's important, for people to continue to really tune into these people so that they can keep doing their thing. But getting back to the subject, like there's a question as to why some bands do better than others. I think that in this case, the thing that really separates Megadeth and Metallica that people don't like to talk about, but I think it's probably obvious, apart from the riffs, apart from, you could say, oh, Megadeth is far more complex, in terms of the music, and maybe that makes them less accessible to people. I think the reason I'm about to give actually feeds into and is actually one of the origins of why that music is so complex with Megadeth. And so, without further ado, it's the vocals, man. It's the vocals. it's the singing. When you listen to Mustaine's voice or HR's voice, it's like, I think automatically, I think the default setting in everybody's hearing is not necessarily to appreciate that type of harshness in vocal tone, maybe nasality, that type of thing. I don't think that the ear naturally leans towards that. I think it, recoils a little bit and shies away. So what you have to do, if you're really into it, and this is what I found I've done, I'm sure lots of other people do it. Maybe they admit to it, maybe they don't. Maybe they do it subconsciously, so they don't really think that they're doing it. But what I think you essentially have to do is put that to the side, almost ignore it, and then embrace that difference, that strangeness, that slightly perplexing delivery, and then you can love it. But when you initially hear it, or if you were to hear it after a very long time, it's a little bit grating. It's a little bit hard on the ear. And I think, if you think about the Metallica Megadeth case, it's clear that James's voice, I mean, I was going to say he's not really a crooner. I mean, from Black Album on, I think he's been doing his version of crooning, like definitely. But, even prior to that, his voice is less harsh on the ear. It's just easier to really gel with. And in that type of music, it's really like the perfect icing on the top of the cake of the instruments. Whereas Dave's voice is challenging. It's a little bit more challenging. HR's voice, I mean, you can't really actually, I'm making a comparison, so fuck it. But it's like Corey Glover, lead singer of Living Colour. I mean, let's be real. Like, he's probably the best singer out of all 8 bands, like by far, by leaps and bounds. Though there's going to be a little bit of controversy on that. See, someone don't agree already. There's going to be a little bit of controversy on that with the next band in the list, with Fishbone maybe. But if you compare Bad Brains and Living Colour, I mean, I definitely think that comparison stands up.